Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines here in Israel. And we begin with a visit by the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who arrived in Israel as part of a short tour to the Middle East yesterday. The Secretary of State was welcomed by Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen. He then met with President Herzog, where amongst many of the issues that were discussed was the issue of the proposed judicial overhaul. The President reassured Secretary of State Blinken that he is doing whatever he can in his very limited capacity to try and ensure that all sectors of Israeli society are heard. The Secretary of State then met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Prime Minister thanked him for visiting Israel, thanked him for his condolences about the horrific terror attacks that took place in Jerusalem over the weekend. Up for discussion was very much the issue of Iran, and the Prime Minister reassured Secretary of State Blinken that Israel has every intention of expanding our Abraham Accords circle. He also thanked the Secretary of State for everything that the United States is doing at the United Nations to support Israel and guard against campaigns of delegitimacy. Also on the agenda were discussions about the proposed judicial overhaul, and Blinken very diplomatically warned Netanyahu about the harming of democracy in Israel. He also went on to say that he believes that any overhaul should involve broad-based consensus. Now, what does that mean, you asked? Well, one of the issues that many are having about these proposed reforms are that they are proposed reforms put forward by the coalition government and doesn't involve the other political parties who represent a massive section of Israeli society who also feel that they need to be heard. Also, don't forget that the second biggest party is not part of the coalition government. The Secretary of State, then went on to meet with Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who said to him that his visit here is a show of force or a message to Iran, and that when it comes to issues around Iran, Israel and the United States speak with one voice. And this visit certainly is testament to the unbreakable bond between Israel and the United States. The Secretary of State then met with Palestinian Authority Mahmoud Abbas, and you can be sure that the recent escalation of violence was on the agenda there. And Abbas reassured him that security ties with Israel are only partially broken and can be restored. Sticking on bilateral visits, yesterday we brought you the story that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with French President Emmanuel Macron, who offered his condolences over the terror attacks on the weekend, and they also spoke about the impending Iranian threat. Well, it has been confirmed today that Prime Minister Netanyahu will fly to Paris to meet with the president. He will depart on Thursday and return on Saturday evening after Shabbat. Now, this news broadcast seems to be dominated by the very, very heavy schedule of Prime Minister Netanyahu, because he also met with the family of captive Israeli hostage Avera Mengistu last night. Now, Hamas had released some footage of Mengistu just a couple of weeks ago, something that his family, like the rest of Israel, only saw via the media. We don't have too much detail about what was discussed, but we do know that the Prime Minister offered his reassurances of Israel's efforts to try and secure Mengistu, Hisham al-Sayed, the other Israeli who is currently being held captive, and the remains of fallen soldiers Oron, Shaul, and Hadar Golden. And finally, we end, as we try to do as much as possible, on a positive note, and that is Israel's Ministry of Defense have confirmed sending 3 bulletproof ambulances to help rescue workers in war-torn Ukraine. These ambulances come fully equipped with medical equipment as well as oxygen and defibrillators. And those are our top stories making headlines today. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We have an op-ed by Chief Nazi hunter Dr. Ephraim Zurov all about IRA. Check it out there. It will also be posted on our Facebook page. Please check out our Facebook page. If you do see it, give us a like, a follow, and share our content, especially now where there are such heavy censorship and clampdowns on content posted on Facebook. Our YouTube channel, as always, is at the Israel Brief. We want to grow that community there. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please click on the red subscribe button and don't forget to like and share our content. And we're on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Rolene Marks. These are your headlines. Join me again on the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land tomorrow.